Yeah, but that's sure.
It says we're live on the Zoom.
Yeah, but it's not. If so Vanessa asked, we're on. Wait, but is this the right? It's a different chat. There we go. Switch to this link. There we go. We're switching links, people. I'm putting it in the chat box. Okay, it's working. Thank the Lord. Would it be me if there wasn't a glitch? No. So without further ado, welcome everyone to a Your Big Year conversation, where we believe that sharing the stories of young people making a real impact can spark a ripple effect and inspire others to make a difference or to start that initiative that they've always thought about starting. I'm Rachel and I'm co-facilitating with Veronica over here. I'm based in New Zealand, Veronica's based in Canada, so we always like to mix up the countries there. And without further ado, today we're focusing on gender equity and education in East Africa. And we'll be covering topics including how innovative programming and education and gender equity are empowering girls and women on the ground, lessons learned from the pandemic, and how we can move forward in an increasingly globalized world, bringing inequities and sparking change one person at a time. Now, I want to move straight into it, to the stars of the show today, our wonderful panelists. So without further ado, Bryn, I'd like you to start. Could you just introduce who you are and your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Bryn. I'm the Director of Programs and Operations for Women's Campaign International, WCI. We are a nonprofit based in Philadelphia in the US that's been open for 23 years now, doing programs with women and girls to bolster their leadership skills around the world. So we've worked in around 45 countries, and for the past 11 years have had a domestic program here in Philly where we work with girls through a program called GALS. And so that's also how I met one of our other panelists here, Priscilla, today. We met a couple of years ago. She led a GALS program for us that we did in Kenya. And we recently did a program to reduce teen pregnancy together this year, which we'll tell you more about. And then one of our other panelists here, Modi, I'm also, we're in the midst of planning some workshops together in Malawi. So excited to tell you more about that as well. But really excited to be here with people that I already know and meet some new people as well, and looking forward to getting into the discussion.
Thank you, Bryn. I mean, I think a natural segue right there is Priscilla. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. It's a good day because we want to discuss about girls. And when we talk about girls, talking about generation, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm Priscilla, as it has been mentioned before. I'm the founder of Winam Green Venture. Winam Green Venture is a community-based organization in Kenya that empower women and girls And to the women, we empower women through eco-friendly enterprises like briquettes, energy-saving cook stoves, and agribusiness like hydroponic and organic farming. And to the girls, to our super girls, we mentor them to become the women we want in future. So right now we are working along Lake Victoria region, and mainly we are working with the fishing villages, and that's where we are trying to make the world to be a better place. Yeah, thank you very much.
Amazing. And Modi, since Bren mentioned you as well, could you please introduce yourself and Ukani?
Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. My network is kind of all over the place. So my name is Modesta Mangilani, and I am the co-founder of Ukani Malawi. And my co-founder couldn't be here today. She's kind of busy. So I'll just be representing Ukani alone. So basically, Ukani in a nutshell is a girl empowerment organization that was started about 4 years ago, when my co-founder and I were still in our second year of university. And basically what it tackles is gender equality and female empowerment here in Malawi. We usually work with young women because we're trying to build them up as early as possible in life, so that as they grow, we can have a generation of empowered women that are not afraid to take up space, speak their voices, be change makers in society, and all of that, just dream their dreams and fulfill them and live them to their fullest capabilities. So Okani has different projects that we run. We mostly focus on young mothers where they have either dropped out of school and don't really have a lot of support. And what we're trying to do is teach them technical skills so that they're still able to find a way to finance their lives and help their children and help themselves overall, really. We also offer career guidance talks in different schools, just to open up the ideas and the eyes to different girls, that they can be so many different things in this world apart from the social norm that has been given to them. And we're just really trying to encourage them to be the best that they can be for themselves. Let them make their own choices and their own footpaths in life, and not let anything hold them back. And yeah, as Bryn said, we are still planning on implementing the rap project that she did with Priscilla in Kenya, but we're gonna do it here in Malawi. And I'm really just excited to collaborate and just connecting with all of you and just get this conversation going. So thank you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. And without further ado, Vanessa.
Hello, I hope you all can hear me. Hello. So I am Vanessa Iman. I am the founder of Mother Africa. Mother Africa is a philanthropic social enterprise. We focus on consulting and public policy. We typically work with small to mid-sized companies and organizations looking to establish their charitable initiatives within their business. And we also advise governments. A bit about Mother Africa to further explain. This was, again, I guess similar to Modi, started in university many years ago, around 4 years ago. And ever since then, I've adapted to the surroundings that, we're currently in, and working towards women empowerment, social mobility, and globalization within Africa. And thank you for having me, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Bryn, Vanessa, Priscilla, Modesta. It's so great to see panelists from such a wide range of backgrounds and places. Right now we have panelists, each of them from Malawi, Kenya, United Kingdom, and the United States. And so we're really wanting to ask you questions related to the bridge that kind of combines all of the interests and passions in girls and women's education, empowerment, providing them the opportunities to thrive and take up space, as you said, Modi, to have a voice and a seat at the table. And so I'd like to kind of open up the conversation with a really simple, but I think very important question. And it's to ask why, why girls, why women, especially in underserved communities, especially when, we still have patriarchy and sexism and a lot of different violations of human rights against girls and women. Why should people care who may not necessarily be actively engaged in this space? And what does it mean in the larger, broader global agenda to have these conversations and have girls and women take up space on the global agenda? Vanessa, why don't you give us a start with the conversation and we can go from there?
Sure. For me, it's important to implement programs that empower women and girls because personally, I feel women will always contribute to their communities and to the world. And I know that this is a big statement, but research has shown that when a woman is educated, she has the ability to eliminate poverty for a whole generation. And for me, it's important to empower women because right now there are 130 million children who are out of education, who are not learning, and 70% of that is women. So could you imagine if these women were educated, they would have better access to healthcare. They would have better access to the employment market. They will be able to retain and sustain an income where it could prevent child marriages, sexual slavery. And if a woman does decide to have children, this woman would educate her child. And this is where I say in the beginning, a woman can eliminate poverty within a generation. She will bring access and opportunities to her household and to her nation. And I think today, the fact that we are all women on this panel discussion just shows what you can do when you are empowered. We're able to support one another, we're able to support our communities, and we're able to bring life into the world and demand change.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. It just goes to show that when you empower and equip girls and women, they are then equipped to serve their communities, their families, better education and healthcare for their country. Does anyone else want to add to that, their own insights?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Vanessa said. It's some pretty impressive statistics there. And WCI, we were initially formed in 1998 after the UN's Fourth World Conference on Women to kind of put the talk around empowering women, getting more women to seat at the table, put those commitments into action and form an organization to actually do that. And so since it was somewhat born out of a UN event, we're often thinking about the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, in our work. And I really personally think that in order to achieve all of the SDGs, whether it's hunger, poverty, education, whatever it might be, achieving gender equality is key to achieving all of those other things. Because if you want to eliminate hunger, girls can't be left behind. Girls can't be hungry. If you want to, increase GDP, increase wages, fair wages and fair work, women have to be a part of that. So if we're trying to achieve all of these different global goals, it is key that women and girls are a part of that discussion. And we make up, half or maybe roughly more than half of the population of the world. And we have so many experiences that are unique and perspectives that are unique to women and girls. And so to leave those out of decision-making tables and decision-making conversations will really inhibit our ability to achieve any of the goals that we're working towards. And so going off of, I think, something Modi said earlier about the importance of working with girls in particular, if we focus on girls' education and make sure that girls are graduating school, knowing how to plan for their lives, set goals, get into careers they're interested in. That's also a preventative measure to prevent more girls from falling into poverty, to prevent more girls from becoming pregnant at an age when they shouldn't be yet or don't want to be. And so I think that inherently empowering women and girls is important in itself, but it's also key to achieving any other global goals that we're working towards.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Bryn. Priscilla, Modi, do you want to also just share some of your insights?
Yeah, I just want to add from what my colleague just said, because to me, empowering women and girls is always like, if you empower them, you have empowered the generation. In that, I always believe and know that an informed woman is a powerful woman. Like in our African context, you find out that our cultures have been suppressing women power, and it is upon our generation to awaken the personal powers that women are having among themselves. So to make that one come true, it's upon us to start empowering these women to know whatever they are made of, to know whatever they can work and how they can reach their goals. So it is very important and it is very key, because you find out that women are left with a lot of responsibilities, but they don't know how to tackle them. But if you empower them, they'll always find a solution. Women will always find a solution. If they can take care of the whole family year in, year out, meaning that any problem that is presented to them, at the end of the day, they are going to find a solution for it. So to me, empowering women is always the key for economic development, social development, or political development. Some of the problems that we are facing is because that it is because women are less in power. Like just passing out a bill that is going to help women. We are less in number out there. So passing out a bill that is going to help women becomes very difficult because the society had already suppressed our power. We are no longer being seen there. So if we can empower the coming generation who are girls, we are wishing them all the best that come in the next generation, women are going to carry the flag the way we would like to carry it right now. And we are fighting for it. So it's upon us. Everybody, anywhere like us now talking here in the panel, you can change it by starting from wherever you are, with what you are, with whatever you can do to make our vision come true. So it is very important to empower women, girls.
Those are some incredibly powerful and inspiring words. I really like, Priscilla, that not only did you add to what Bryn and Vanessa were saying about empowering a woman will empower their communities and advance economic agendas for countries, but you also touched upon the political presence that women need to take up more in order for those bills and legislations and policies to be passed that are inclusive, that are progressive, that are taking women's needs at the forefront and at the center of some of the blatant crimes against women and girls happening in today's climate all over the world. So thank you for that. And Modesta, would you like to, also answer this question?
So basically all of you guys have pretty much touched on all the really important parts, and I agree with you all. And just to add a little something to it, I guess it would be just the thought of starting with girls is that, kids grow up and they learn from what society is given to them and that is how they build, how they think, how they act. And for a lot of situations where if we don't start teaching them while they're young that they deserve to have a voice, that they deserve to speak up, that they're just as the man is, we then have them in a situation where they think that, the patriarchy and the man having the upper hand is the norm. And that's not what we're trying to do. So that change really does need to start from the beginning so that the next generation can know that, no, okay, even though I am a woman, I am capable of so much more than what was given to us before. And I think it's just a very important thing to tackle because growing up, that hasn't always been very available, and it's always left women in a corner where they're not really able to express themselves or do much. And I think that's why it's important to tackle women and girls.
Amazing. Gosh, you guys inspire me. Even already in this conversation, I knew this was going to happen. I love it. Now, I don't think a conversation these days would be a conversation if we didn't mention the pandemic. It's just the reality of 2020 and 21. So I do want to tap into the next question on some challenges that your work has faced during this as a result of this pandemic. And we'll just start genuinely there. So maybe Vanessa, do you want to jump in?
Sure. A bit of a personal story for myself and a bit of a background for people who don't know what Mara Africa used to do. We raise donations and funds from individuals. So everyone on this call, you watching this live today, and this was what we would call our community, and we would raise funds for particular programs and charities that we were truly inspired by. But as we all know, the pandemic has been a very tough time. And so with that, my business structure had to change. Right now, we only focus on consulting and receiving funds from small to mid-sized corporations because a lot of pockets and a lot of people have been hit financially. And I think for us, it was just right to maybe take a step back and really assess the best opportunity, not only for the business, but the best opportunity for our communities. And so we've adapted, and I think it's working, and we're more on target now than we were trying to be during the pandemic. That being said, I would say there are more governments that are listening and working alongside NGOs and philanthropic consultants like myself to innovate and just ensure that those who are vulnerable right now are protected. I feel as though governments have learned from other crises like Ebola. So during that time, a lot of things had to go online. A lot of schools were closed. So more countries within Africa had more funding for electricity, for Wi-Fi, to ensure that more people were connected, still being able to learn and to connect with their families. Loads of governments right now are, as I said, working with us to ensure that there is funding available and it's protected for people who are vulnerable, and that emergency packages are being met and given out when needed. I feel as though the world is watching more closely now than ever. And I think the pandemic for me has taught me more about community and making sure that, you know, your neighbor is okay. So although my business had to adapt and change, I think the pandemic brought out something very fruitful for not only myself, but for others.
Amazing. Priscilla or Modi, I'd love to get your perspective on this question.
Okay, pandemic. Corona was a big disruptor. So we had to change some of the things that we are doing. I'm involved in hydroponic farming, and it became very difficult for the women. So instead of selling the produce, I was giving women produce for free, at least to support them during the pandemic. So that one contributed positively to their food in the households. And another thing that Corona made the cook stove not to be sold in my business. Like the business was at a standstill. So we had to look for other ways. How best can we engage these women again? Because being that pandemic was there, it doesn't mean that life will be stopping just there when the pandemic arrived. So we had to look for other solutions. So we had to adapt. So in the cook stoves, we had to give women some times to pay in installment instead of paying once at a go. So we had to give them some humble time, not to ambush them, at least to give them time for paying. Then there came a very big pandemic, more than whatever was existing in the teenage pregnancy. This one really drained me because within a span of 1 month, over 4,000 cases of teenage pregnancy was there in Kenya, just in one county. And remember, in Kenya, we have 47 counties. So it was just like there for me, like how are the girls outside, they are suffering. So I came up with the idea of what we implemented with Brain. So I reached out to Brain, and shared out whatever we were experiencing. Then we were like, let's come up with a solution. We can do this. Let's start with what we have. So after sharing, Brain is always positive. anything to do with the women and the girls, she is always there and ready to help you go about it. So then we started it. Then it was successful, though we are still working on fundraising, but we hope it will go well. And I think that was a better start for us with me and Brain, because at least we did something to the girls, you know. At least we were not just there seated watching girls suffering, you know. And the drop, we tried to cut the school dropout. So nowadays, I'm just happy when I'm working in the community, and the women are telling me that, thank you very much, Priscilla. You made my girl go back to school. You helped my girl. I'm just happy. That one alone is enough. I don't need more. So, but that one was all about the pandemic.
That's amazing. I mean, it's always, I think, nice to hear positive outcomes come out of such a negative time. Like, yes, you needed the negative time maybe to create rap, but I think rap has such a longevity. And I think it's going to impact women and girls longer after this pandemic is over. So it's always nice to hear those connections. And the fact that here today, 3 of you are connected across the world, and that you're going to be utilizing this one program is really a testament to not just you ladies, but just a testament to the power of women in general. Modi, would you like to add in?
Yeah, I was also just gonna say that, like, apart from the negative sides of the pandemic, it's great that we've been able to connect with Priscilla and Bryn, and the idea is really, you know, crossing borders, and now we'll be able to implement it in Malawi as well. So the reach is just beyond where I think she would have thought it was going to go, and the impact even just like beyond us, and how it's going to help all these girls that we reach out to is, you know, you can't really quantify it. So it's just great to look at the good side of things that actually do come out of everything. And just to attest to what she was saying, where you know, the thought of just sitting and doing nothing, the world did not stop as the pandemic, you know, came about. The problems that different women are facing in different locations did not stop. In fact, it amplified a lot of them. And like as we said, Ugani really does focus on helping a lot of young mothers. And when the pandemic started, I think a lot of people were not taking it seriously in Malawi, and maybe it did come late to full force. So everything was pretty much normal. But when it did hit, there was a lot of misinformation towards it. People thought, no, it's not real and stuff like that. Eventually, schools did close down. So that left a lot of the girls like with nothing to do. So it's not like we were in lockdown. Schools were just closed. So people were still basically free to go around wherever it is they're going around. So now they have all this extra time. They're not really doing anything, and which led a lot of youth to I guess go into not so safe extracurricular activities and sexual activities. So that caused an increase in the number of pregnancies that were then going up. So it's like all the work that we had been working towards reducing, it's just like we took 10 steps back towards that. So as the world kept spinning, we had to like sit back and think, how do we then go back to the drawing board and find a way to, you know, stop this from exceeding as it is. So most of our interactions again are face to face, and you know, the government was like, no, we do encourage social distancing and a limited number of people and gatherings and stuff like that. So it's just been met with a lot of thinking of ways on how to work around that. I mean, for some of our projects, we could like do them over Zoom and things would work out fine. But then how do we reach the girl that doesn't have a smart device, places with no internet and stuff like that? So that's one thing that we really had to like sit down and still, you know, work around. And then you realize that you can't just be sitting comfortably in your home where you're per se more privileged than the rest. So, it's important to still take yourself out of that comfort zone while remaining safe, keeping everybody safe, and just like put the foot forward, and still continue to do, really try and drive a change. And just keep those networks going on, because when we had to close our tailoring school, a lot of the girls were like, oh, we miss you guys. And it felt really sad to think that they felt abandoned in these times where things were really harder. And they didn't have any economic activities that could gain them any money that they could take care of themselves with. So, we went there and donated a few food items, and they were so grateful. And then I think it was that moment where you realized these people are bonded with us, and everything that we do, they really do appreciate. And that makes you realize that you can't stop, even though the pandemic has been a huge bump in the road for a lot of things. You still need to keep pushing forward, get innovative, get creative, and find a way to still reach the people that you're trying to reach. Because even though it may seem like such a small little minor detail, to them it's really the world. And I think that's something that you might lose sight of sometimes when you're doing what you're doing, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm just doing this to to tick a box. But it really does go such a long mile with the community and the people that really do need it, and the less privileged. And so the pandemic really just has been an eye opener on realizing the sentimental value of things. And just realizing how deep it really goes beyond face value. And that's pretty much what I can say.
No, I think it's such a relevant point. I think a lot of the time in life we forget what power and action that you take can have. And like you said, it's always beyond what you see a lot of the time. And just at the very least, the inspiration and the confidence that these girls would have from you ladies, just giving them a chance and for being there, I think is so powerful. And Bryn, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think Priscilla touched on a main challenge, which was the pandemic, the big challenge of the year, but how much good has come out of that with the RAP program that we created. So just to add on that, like Priscilla, as you mentioned, reached out to me. We had, since the summer of 2019, when she led our gals program in Kenya, been wanting to work together again. And then last year, it just kind of felt like, all right, we can't do our normal girls leadership program that's just regular in person when there's such bigger issues to address right now, like the increase in teen pregnancy. And so I think, just echoing what everyone said, instead of just sitting and waiting for that to pass, what can we do? And so I think the pandemic really highlighted the importance of being adaptable and flexible. And so the RAP program that Priscilla and I created stands for Reducing Adolescent Pregnancy in the Era of COVID-19, and was a way to get information on COVID-19, PPE, preventing pregnancy, preventing HIV, and healthy relationships out to as many girls as we could in Kenya. And we were able to put something together and fundraise for it pretty quickly and reach 60 girls. And now, I guess 4 or 5 months later at this point, all 60 of them have returned to school, didn't get pregnant, which was our ultimate goal, to make sure they get back to school and are healthy. And so when a funding opportunity became available to do those workshops in Malawi with Modi and Temwa, I asked Priscilla, like, I know this is our baby, your idea. While we're still fundraising for Kenya, would you be open to us doing this in Malawi? And I just loved that Priscilla said, yes, please reach as many people as you can. And I think that just really emphasizes the importance all the time, but especially during a crisis, of viewing other women doing similar work as our allies, not our competitors, and just thinking about why we're doing this, trying to reach as many people as we can. And so now hopefully we'll be doing RAP workshops in Malawi next month. I will say I was supposed to travel to Malawi last summer to do a gals program with Modi and Ukani, which had to be canceled because of the pandemic. So definitely some bummers as a result of the pandemic, but I think, we adapted, and ultimately we're going to have some awesome programs coming out of it.
What I'm hearing from, thank you, Bryn, and all of you, what I'm hearing from all 4 of you is that due to the pandemic and other, unanticipated problems working in this space, have arisen. I've heard you've got to innovate, get creative, adapt, and build resilience. And, you know, each of you are working in kind of a very similar space, but in different ways and mechanisms. And it sounds like, even as an example of the pandemic, you've had to collaborate cross-organizationally and really depend and reciprocate the support and the knowledge exchange and the program delivery through cross-cultural, global collaboration. And so that's kind of what my next question is about this, because, you know, Vanessa, we have you working in consulting, working on funding different organizations in Africa, based in the United Kingdom. So, you know, there's your perspective there. And then Bryn with Priscilla and Modi working, you know, in your local communities, but also having kind of a Women's Campaign International as a backer and as a supporter, what that looks like. I'm really curious to know, you know, from your perspectives and from your experiences, whether in the past or in the present or your hopes for the future, some of the lessons learned or, you know, positives to that global collaboration space, and even just what you've learned on how to improve things further. Because I think, you know, just to sprinkle a little bit of context into this, we always see sometimes in, you know, the social development space and harnessing global collaborations, that sometimes it can look one-sided. Sometimes it can look like just kind of handouts or not a reciprocal relationship. What is it about these partnerships that are so, you know, meaningful, where everyone is an equal player and everyone is working together for the same goal? I will just let any one of you jump out first and just kind of get that conversation going. Really curious about what works, what doesn't, what can we improve?
Well, I definitely think being a US-based organization that does a lot of international work, the key to the success of our programs, and I've been here just about 3.5 years now, and so my work with Priscilla and other organizations in that time, the key is really to not make any assumptions. So when it comes to what girls and women need in communities we work in, for example, Kisumu in Kenya, where Priscilla is, I always work to talk with Priscilla about what she identifies as the needs of the community. And so that's like this WRAP program. She was saying, right now, the main thing we need to address is the increase in teen pregnancy. And so, you know, if I have curriculum design experience, I can put that together and say, how does this work? Do you think this would be helpful in your community? Is this something we want to do? And then adapt it to make sure it fits the need that she's identified. And same with Modi in Malawi. You know, after we did WRAP in Kenya, didn't just say, hey, we want to do this program in Malawi instead of Gals Now. I said, this is something we just did in Kenya. It was really successful. Is there interest for this? Do you think this would be needed or helpful in Malawi? And so I think just from the outside perspective, making sure that the women who are local in the communities we're working with are the center of that conversation, and, you know, telling me what's needed, how we need to edit things to make them effective, just listening to that, and always asking how I can support them and make those things happen.
I would mirror what Brian said. When I work with corporations and governments, the advice that we give has to be one where we're working with those who are local and who are on the ground. Any organization that we partner with must have a support system in place before we work and advise any governments to collaborate with them. For us, obviously, we want to see growth and results, but I think the priority for us is that the programs that we work with are sustainable. We want to work with programs, that are transformative in the space that they hold. It's important for us to see the long-term effect that the program or the advice that we give to a corporation has. And it's important that we track and we do our research and we're analytical. We take our expertise in philanthropy and in finance to ensure that the things that we are advising make sense and they're suitable for the corporations that we work with.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Vanessa. And Priscilla, Modesta?
Yeah, what I can say about global partnership is, like, to me, it's like a synergy, because I always believe that we normally face same challenges, but the way everyone tackles it.
Sorry, Priscilla, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but can you move closer to the mic? Because I think I might not be the only one that is having a hard time hearing you. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
can you hear?
A little better.
Okay. Let me raise my voice a bit. So,
Oh, that's great.
That was
That's much
good.
better.
It was like a boom of noise.
okay. So to me, global partnership is more about synergy, because I always believe that the problems that we are facing are the same, but the way we are tackling them is very different. And when you can partner with another person from another organization, you guys can share idea and come up with a better solution. I know that we have different solutions, but if you want a better one, it's always to share out, and you come back and work on it, because a shared idea can be researched, and maybe the other person from another country have already experienced it, so they'll be talking about their experience, the challenges they are faced in using the solution that you are using, you know. So from there you will know which route are you supposed to be taking, whether you are handling your community or you want to make a new idea come true. So it's always better to share some of the ideas that we are saying, that we have new ideas to some people in another country or better organization like the WCI, which has over 20 years, they had already implemented it. So it's better share out. She has when I was working with Brain, I met this amazing lady called Dr. Ceci. That lady is amazing. You know, she's amazing. She'll tell you what she has a diverse experience. Whatever it takes to empower women, she knows. So she'll advise you accordingly. You understand? So partnering is very important, and global partnering with another organization that is more developed, it's better, because the work that we are doing in community, it's not that very big, but when you partner with another organization and you guys work mutually, not that one organization depends on another one very much, the work becomes easier. So I would just advise and encourage the global partnership for us to make the world a better place. At the end of the day, we have goals that we want to achieve, and these goals are common goals. So together we can make it better. Yeah.
And Modi.
Yeah, so just to add on that, I guess as the old saying goes, two heads are better than one, and I think that's just the way it is. Like Priscilla was saying, you come up with an idea, and it may be small, but like for you to actually really grow it, I think always having a second opinion on it will really bring it into fruition, and that's just something that I also personally like to live by. Whenever I have an idea in my head, I feel like it's always so all over the place. But once I voice it out to someone, I think people come in and they can really center you and focus you and tell you which direction you should really go. And then that really helps bring those ideas into, again, like I said, fruition. And that just goes a really long way into making things actually really happen beyond just the idea, bringing things into a reality. And generally from experience, starting Ungani pretty young, I think me and Tim always used to talk about it, like, oh, we're so young, we can't really start doing anything now. We should probably like wait until we're older, until people can take us more seriously and all of that. But it was just a random leap of faith where we're like, okay, you know what? We just start with what we have, and basically what we did, we got a bunch of our other friends to come and to hear our ideas, and they were really supportive about it. And then we had the support from them, and then we just went out there, and then that's how we raised funds to. We were able to raise funds for our first outreach, and that's how it started. And then it was like a lot of them, coming in to say, okay, maybe they don't really have the same passions and drives as you, but they're still supportive because you were able to reach out to them and tell them your idea, your story. And, they were still able to support us, not even financially. Some of them, it's not always a financial exchange of things. It's the idea, it's the manpower, it's the support that really goes a long way. And that comes on to not even just support from like individual people. When you are collaborating with different organizations, it doesn't always have to be a monetary thing. You can, they can help you in kind. Say they're an expert in one field and you're an expert in one field, and you come together and you bring things to work so beautifully, and your impact on a certain project can even be bigger and beyond than it would have been if you were just doing it alone, or if they were just doing it alone. And it's also quite cost saving, I've come to see, because if you're collaborating, then they're doing their job that they already do, and they're able to do it for free, and you're doing it for free. And that's just, it helps build this network and connectivity, which, at the end of the day, like Priscilla did say, that we all have the same goal, we're all facing the same problems. It's just implementation that may differ to cater to the different locations that we're in. But as a globe, I think the Sustainable Development Goals are all what we're really trying to, achieve. And I just think the more you really reach out, network, connect with people, it really just pushes it. And I also like to say I'm on a quest of knowledge acquisition, and you can learn more outside of yourself than within yourself. So it's always important to keep pushing, building those connections, and learning from other people, because their experiences are so different from what you have experienced. For example, the way I have lived my life here in Malawi is totally different from the way all of you have lived your lives wherever you are. So when you come together and collaborate with people, you get to experience a different part of the world. We're over 7 billion people on this planet, and basically we're all just living in our little circles. And the important thing is to break up from the circles, and then just merge yourself into other circles, and then learn more, and that is how you really do get to experience life to the fullest and really give out the biggest impact that is. And all the work that we are doing is basically taking ourselves out of our bubbles and reaching out to other people's bubbles to then really impact them. And I think that's the beauty of all of that's going on here. So thank you.
I love that you spoke about learning off people from different places and that have lived completely different lives, because that's something that we really value at Your Big Year in general. And I've been able to witness it with the youth that have joined our projects, just how it can open your mind up in the ways you didn't even realize it could be opened up. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Now we only have 5 minutes, or 6 technically. I reckon that's about to hit the number 5 though. So we're going to try and keep these next answers short, sweet, like kind of like quick fire. I do though think it's important, before we get into the advice, I really do want to ask Vanessa and Bryn how to do this work without an anti-colonial lens. So I think this is a question that a lot of people would be interested in, and I would love to know how you guys have dealt with that.
Yeah, I think it builds off of what I was just talking about in terms of not making assumptions, not thinking you know the answers to communities' issues that are in different places than where you're from. And so, since we're a U.S.-based organization, all of our programs, since we have existed, work with a training of trainers model. So all of our programs are designed with a local partner who tells us what they need, how we can support them. They're the ones that get trained and implement our workshops. And I think that's absolutely key to making sure we do our programs in an effective and sustainable way.
Amazing. Vanessa?
Same. I know that even though I'm Nigerian, I am British and I've been afforded certain privileges and I have a blended culture. I think whenever I work with any organization or any government agency, I need to have this in mind. And I work with experts. I work with people who are on ground, who are local, and people who it would directly impact. I live in London, so the decisions that I make comes from a different lens. So I just need to make sure that those that I am affecting with some of my advice for these companies that I work with are being reached and being cared for. Yeah.
Thank you so much, all of you, just for these responses. Just it brings harnessing global collaboration and taking something that sounds so abstract into applicable real world impact. When, you know, I hear Modesta saying 2 heads are better than 1, and Priscilla saying, you know, in terms of really leaning and depending on one another and making one idea and having different ideas and then ending up with a better idea as a result. Like, that is super exciting. And I think a lot of our audience are young people who want to make an impact in their life and in their world. And they want to start their own initiative. I mean, Modi, you were talking about how you felt you were too young for people to take you seriously, but you took that leap of faith and just said, you know, what can I do? What can we do with what we have in this moment right now? And so that was incredibly inspiring to me. And I'm sure so many of the people that are listening in. So I wanted to ask all 4 of you, you know, the last question of our panel discussion. And I know we had, you know, a little under an hour, so short, but our last question is really around what kind of advice you would give to young, you know, not even social entrepreneurs, they could be, but anyone that really wants to make a change, whether in the women and girls space of empowerment, or just somewhere else in working with the UN SDGs. Maybe, you know, a quick little bites of advice would be great. Vanessa, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. I would say be passionate, study your craft, manifest. There is power in words, and stay consistent. I know it's probably not easy every single day, but you know, you're never as young as you are today to start, and consistency will yield results. I promise you. I promise you that.
Modi?
Yeah, I would just like to say start. Like, don't think about I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later. Just start. And yeah, even if you have nothing, the fact that you want to, the fact that you want it, drive off of that. So every day you wake up, you continue to want it, even when it.
Oh shoot, I think we've lost.
The advice was so good that the technology couldn't handle it.
We'll go straight to Priscilla. I know we're really crunched on time, so.
Yeah, as I always say and tell people that everybody can change the world from wherever you are with what you have. It is always start now, but don't stop. You can rest, but you just continue with the journey. So start with wherever you are and what you have. So start. That is what I can say. And everybody can win. You can win, I can win. And if you want to make the world clean, there is always a saying that says that everybody should sweep in front of their doors. Like if I sweep mine, you sweep yours, everybody sweep theirs. At the end of the day, we are going to end up with a clean world. Yeah. Thank you.
And last but not least, Bryn.
Yeah, I would say build relationships, take advantage of opportunities like Your Big Year has to join programs, meet people from around the world, build relationships, even if you don't have an agenda or a specific thing in mind yet, because you never know. If you have an idea, someone else might have a similar idea and you can work together, or in a few years from now, there might be an opportunity to do something. So just build relationships with people and be adaptable. Life rarely goes as planned. So just being able to adapt and take advantage of new opportunities that are presented to you. I think that would be my biggest advice.
And that's a wrap on this panel. I hope everyone had a chance to learn something, take back into their own communities. I just want, Rachel and I just want to thank Bryn, Vanessa, Priscilla, and Modesta so much for your time and your insights, your wisdom. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you,
Bye.
ladies.